Hello, welcome to everyone here. We're going to go ahead and get started. Miss Ann Carmichael is going to be the one giving the presentation today. She actually gives it to all the counselors when we go for our workshop at the beginning of the year. And she's also the person I email when I have random questions about the FAFSA. So she is awesome with all of that. So I'm going to put it off to her and let her go ahead and get started.
Great. Thank you so much. And thanks again for inviting me. Tonight, I want to talk to you about the college financial aid process. And it's pretty simple to hit a college's website to find out what their tuition is. However, you want to make sure that you are keeping in mind that you'll be responsible for fees, room and board if you're staying on campus, your books and supplies, any equipment that you might need, and then travel expenses if you're going away to school and traveling back and forth to home. But there are dollars available to help you pay for your education. There are federal dollars, which include the Pell Grant, the Federal Supplemental Education Opportunity Grant, service grants, and then the Teach Grant for those who plan to teach in the classroom when they graduate. Work study is administered by the Federal Student Aid Group. These are great jobs that are on campus. The pay is comparable to any other job that you might find, any part-time job. It allows you to stay on campus. The hours are really flexible, and it gives you some extra money to pay for your college expenses. These jobs are administered through the financial aid office on college campuses. So if you're interested, please contact them directly. There are student loans available. It's important to understand the difference between these loans in case you're offered a loan when you receive your financial aid offer. First, you would want to accept the direct subsidized loans. These loans do not accrue interest while the student is in school. So if you're going to a four-year college, that's 4 years of interest-free money that's available to you. Those are considered need-based loans. The direct unsubsidized loan is for generally everyone. These loans do begin to accrue interest once the loan is fully dispersed. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to ask everybody if you would mute your. And then parents can also borrow on behalf of their students. Graduate loans we hear could be kind of grad plus loan could be in some jeopardy, but this year it is still available. You can use any of these federal dollars at 2- and 4-year colleges, at community and technical schools. So make good use of this opportunity. If you decide that you do not want to complete a FAFSA, just realize that you will not be eligible for the federal Pell Grant, federal work study, the Louisiana Go Grants, federal loans, um, and some private scholarship organizations require that you complete a scholarship to compete for their scholarships. The TOPS scholarship is also contingent upon completion of the FAFSA. It is not mandatory, but it can serve as your TOPS application. If you choose not to complete a FAFSA, please go to the TOPS website and fill out the TOPS application there. Now, who can complete a FAFSA? Of course, U.S. citizens and U.S. nationals, those with a green card, an arrival departure record, those with battered immigrant status, and those that hold T visas. These students are eligible for financial aid through federal student aid. So remember that all of these monies are contingent upon completion of the free application for federal student aid, uh, which we also call the FAFSA. To be ready to quickly complete your FAFSA, you will want to create your Federal Student Aid ID, and I'll go into this in a little bit. These documents you should have on hand with you as you move through the form. Your Social Security card, your federal income tax return and W-2s from 2024, and a bank statement. Any bank or brokerage statements that you might have will need to be at your fingertips so that you can report those as assets. I mentioned creating your federal student aid account, and this is what your homepage is going to look like. You will note that the web address is listed here at the bottom of the page. You will gather the documents listed above and begin creating your ID. Once your ID is created, you will move on to the FAFSA form itself at studentaid.gov. You're the class of 2026, graduating from high school, so you will want to complete the 26-27 FAFSA because you're applying for aid for the academic year that you will be attending college, and you must renew this FAFSA every academic year. You're going to also see that the 25-26 form is still available. However, don't make the mistake of completing that form. With the student's FSAID, he will list his username and his password, identify his role as the student, and then list his current state of residence. He will also be asked to consent to have the IRS check for any 2024 income tax filed, and then the IRS will drop that information into the FAFSA. This makes the process a lot quicker, and it avoids many errors. Hopefully, you'll be seeing this screen showing you that the IRS is successful and is importing your data. But if you see this screen stating that they were unable to retrieve it, don't worry, you can manually enter your information. You will just go ahead and when you get to the asset section, you will grab your 2024 income tax return and begin manually entering. We are here to help you and support you through the process, and I'll provide you with some contact information toward the end of the session. The student will move into the personal circumstances section, report his or her marital status, his college plans, even if you have college credits going into your freshman year, perhaps you're going to be considered classified as a second year sophomore. But for federal student aid purposes, you always want to state that this is your first year receiving aid. In this personal circumstances section, you will be given a list of situations, and if you can check one of these situations stating that you either have children that you financially support and will support between July 1st and June 30th, 2027, if you have been since the age of 13 and an orphan or a ward of the court, foster care, been identified as an emancipated minor, or you're in legal guardianship, you can select, check off the box that pertains to you, and this will determine you as an independent student, meaning you will not have to provide parental information. However, you must have your legal document supporting that claim available for the financial aid office to review. If you're homeless or at risk of being homeless, you'll want to answer this question. Now, say you can't answer yes to one of the prior dependency status questions, but you are in an unusual situation, like you've been estranged from your parents and have not been adopted by anyone else. You've left home due to an abusive situation, or perhaps a parent or parents are incarcerated, maybe you're a refugee or have asylum status or a victim of human trafficking, you can state that you have unusual circumstances. That will allow you to skip over the parent section, and it will deem you an independent student, but it will be based upon you contacting the financial aid office to discuss your unusual circumstance. Now, a couple of circumstances that are not considered to be unusual for federal student aid purposes, or perhaps the parent doesn't claim you on their tax returns, or you don't live with them. Um, Maybe they don't want to provide their information, or they tell you they aren't paying your college expenses, so they don't want to contribute to your FAFSA. Um, that does not consider you as an independent student. You still will need to provide their information. If you do have these specific concerns, as I mentioned before, you will contact your financial aid administrator at the college or the colleges you're applying to and let them know what situation you have. Next, you're asked if you want to apply for the non-need-based loan only. That is the direct unsubsidized loan. And we encourage everyone to say no because we want you to be able to be considered for all forms of federal student aid. If you answer yes to this question, you will only be offered unsubsidized loans. You'll move into the student demographic section where you will list your sex, your race and ethnicity, and your citizenship status. You'll want to report your parents' education status. So if neither of your parents attended college, select that option. And you could be offered additional support for that academic year. If the student did file a return, they will ask about your tax filing status. And then they will want to know if you have had a parent that has been killed in the line of duty um, in the U.S. Armed Forces on or after 9/11, or those who were performing official duties as a public safety officer, like a police, a National Guard, a fireman. If you have lost a parent, then you want to answer yes here to be eligible for some additional money to help you through your first year of college. Report your high school completion status, and then you'll move to the financial section of the FAFSA. Students will list if they have filed a return, and it looks like this student actually was not able to transfer their information from the IRS, so they're having to report this manually. Students must report their assets, so any liquid cash that you have on hand, you'll add that together with any savings and checking account balances and tally that number to enter in that field. Next, you will enter the current net worth of the student's investments, and after that, the current net worth of businesses and farms, if you have any. You'll move to the college selection section where you will begin gathering a list from the FSA website of colleges around the country. Federal student aid is not going to send your personal information out to every school in the nation. They are only going to send your personal info to the colleges that you give them permission to. You can add up to 20 colleges each time you submit your FAFSA. If you're planning to apply to more than 20 colleges, please contact me directly if you need help, and I'll be glad to work with you. Next, you'll want to identify your contributor. This is your legal parent contributor. Um, and although you will be walked through this in a step-by-step manner within the form itself, I just want to generally go over who will be considered your parent contributor. If your parents have never been married, the one who provided the most financial support to you in the past 12 months is your parent contributor. If they both contributed equally, you will select the parent who has the greater assets and income. If your parents are unmarried, but they do live together, these are your legal parents, then both parents will have to contribute. If your parents are married and living together, they both contribute. If they are remarried after being widowed or divorced, then the parent that provided you with the most financial support will be your contributor. And then if that parent is remarried, then you will list information about your step parent. And if your parents are divorced or separated, just as if they were never married, the parent who provided the most financial support to you during the last 12 months will be considered your parent contributor. Again, if both parents contributed equally, then you will select the parent with the greater income and assets. Once you have determined within the form who your parent contributor is, you will enter his or her email address and send them an invitation to contribute to your FAFSA. You can see here that you are given, as the student, an invitation link. Now, you can provide this link to your parents, or they can go in through the email that they're going to receive and they can link directly to your FAFSA from that point. So be sure that you're recording your invite in case your parent did not receive the email invitation. Now it's time for the student to sign the FAFSA, but use the green, the arrows, the check marks in the green circles to drop down each of these sections and review your questions and answers for accuracy. Then the student will agree to the terms of this contract. It is legally binding. You will agree and sign stating that the student has provided his information to the best of his knowledge. Once you press sign, you will see that your FAFSA submission is pending, and you can see down toward the bottom who has received the invite to contribute. There's a lot of great information, so don't overlook any screens that might pop up for you. You can also check your email for a copy of your FAFSA submission summary. In the meantime, mom or dad has received an invitation to contribute to your FAFSA with that invitation number. Now, there's a link as well, as I mentioned, that they can use to go directly to the student's FAFSA and begin to contribute. The parent will enter his username and password because he now must create a federal student aid ID to be able to contribute. If he hasn't used the link within the FAFSA, he can manually enter his invitation code and agree that his information can be transferred from the IRS and dropped into the FAFSA. For the first time this year, this is mandatory. It's one of the first screens you'll see. If you do not want to contribute to have your information transferred, mom or dad, that is your prerogative. However, just understand if you do not contribute through the link with the IRS, your child will only be offered unsubsidized federal student loans. Hopefully you're successful. If not, we're here to help. We'll just need you to have your 2024 income tax returns and W-2s. Parents will begin reporting information about themselves, such as their current marital status, their state of residence, and the date that they became a resident of that state. Move into the financial section, which looks almost exactly like the student financial section. However, the parent should report if anyone in his family during the tax year 24 and 25 have participated in any of these federal benefit programs. This parent is going to be asked specific questions about his tax filing status, how many family members are in his home, the number of students that he has in college during the 26-27 academic year. And for the first time this year, colleges will not receive this information. It's still a FAFSA question, but it's good to remember that you can contact your colleges directly and let them know you have 2 to 3. I worked with quadruplets one time. She had 4 children in college in the same academic year. And the financial aid office can use their professional judgment to take that into consideration. Now you can see that this parent was not able to link to the IRS, but they did give it a try, and now they will be asked to manually enter their information. There's a lot of, there are many forms of description about these questions and how they should be answered. Just use the italics I inside of the circle over to the right-hand side of each field to get a better explanation of exactly what they want. Now, if you need us, as I mentioned, we're here to help walk you through the form. The parent contributor that's been identified to complete this portion of the FAFSA must report any child support that they have received during the last complete calendar year. So if you're completing during 25, list all the support that you received in 2024, not what the other spouse may have been mandated to report, but you want to report just the amount that you received. You, like the student, will add up your cash, savings, and checking account dollars and tally those and enter them here. You will enter the parent's current net worth of investments, including any investment properties that you might have, but not your family home. You don't ever want to include the value of your family home. What are some of those investments? They go into great detail about what should be reported and what should not be reported over to the right-hand side of the answer field. Now remember that current net worth is the value of the property minus any debts you owe on the property. And the difference between those two is your current net worth of that investment. Also, if you have any businesses or farms, you must report the current net value, but do not report any businesses that you own that have 100 or fewer employees. Don't report any family farms or fisheries if you live on those properties. If you are reporting information about a spouse, you will enter their date of birth here. And then it's time for the parent to sign and submit the FAFSA. Again, look through your questions and your answers to them to make sure that the financial aid office has the most accurate information that they can have to provide you with a financial aid offer. Now the parent will agree that the information he has provided is correct to the best of his knowledge, and then submit the FAFSA. He will receive a congratulations pop-up stating that the form has been completed. It will then go on to be processed, and as soon as the parent submits, the student receives an email as well stating that his FAFSA is complete. Make sure that once it's available, you are able to look at your FAFSA submission summary. There's some great information here. We always hear from students during the month before college starts. LSU didn't get my FAFSA. They say they don't have my documentation on file. You can always let them know the date the FAFSA was received by federal student aid and the date they processed it. You can even give the college your data release number, and they can look it up for you and make any changes that you would like for them to make so that you don't have to log back in and go through the process of correcting your FAFSA. You will see what federal student aid is going to recommend to your colleges. Now, this is not your financial aid offer. Think of the FAFSA as a general federal form. Your information is gathered within that form, but then it's sent out to the colleges of your choice so that they can be working on your financial aid offer. Your student aid index will be listed on your FAFSA submission summary. And this is the formula that federal student aid sends over to your colleges to suggest what they believe using your FAFSA answers that you could be eligible to receive. This is what your FAFSA submission summary will look like on your student dashboard once you create your FSA ID. And there are a lot of resources there. If you need to make a correction already, you can go ahead and do that. You can get more information about the colleges that you're considering. It also shows the colleges that you've sent your FAFSA data to. And there's a lot of information about each college if you're interested in looking through that. And this is how you will be able to tell LSU, yes, you did receive my FAFSA on this date. It was processed at this time, and then they can go from there and they can work with federal student aid to remedy that situation. As I mentioned, there's just a plethora of resources here for you. So please don't log out now. Make sure that you're looking through each of these items. So as I mentioned, you've submitted your FAFSA. It takes 3 to 5 days for it to process. Once it processes, they send a form of your FAFSA over to your college financial aid offices, the ones that you've given them permission to. At that time, the school usually waits until you have been admitted. So you want to go ahead and complete your admissions applications to all of the colleges that you're considering. But it's still okay to go ahead and send your data and complete your FAFSA now. But just be aware that the college might not process you for financial aid until you finish up your admissions requirements. Then they will begin to work on a financial aid offer for you. They're trying to determine your cost of attendance on their campus. They're looking for money that they can help, free money they can help to offer you to come to their college. But the difference between that is your net price. This tells you what you will be responsible for paying for during your academic year. You should receive a financial aid office from each of the colleges that you have completed the process through. They don't all look like this, but they should all show your cost of attendance line itemed, any grants and scholarships that they can find that you are eligible to receive. Perhaps they'll offer you additional student loans to meet that net price if you haven't saved that money already. Federal work study will be considered, and then any outside scholarships that the university has received word that you've received should be shown on your financial aid offer. You want to take all of those offers, look at them side by side. If price is a priority to you, you can see exactly what you're going to have to come up with out of pocket. All in all, once you receive your financial aid offers and you select one, your priority college, you want to accept the financial aid in this order. Your free money first, which are grants and scholarships. Federal work study next. That's that's a job. You've already earned that money. You don't have to repay it. And then your last resort would be student loans. Now, if you are offered student loans and you need them to complete your academic year, they are a good investment, but only borrow what you need to complete that year. And also do your homework. There are federal loans There are private lenders that are for profit, and there are nonprofit lenders like Leela. And we offer a very low interest rate loan to students who are citizens of the state. That is, students who reside here and go to college here, or citizens who are reside here but will go away to college, or for students coming into Louisiana to attend a Louisiana college. Now, the more scholarships you earn, the less you're going to have to borrow. So it's always a good idea to continue on with your scholarship search. I know Ms. Rye has a great resource there, probably on her webpage, showing you different opportunities that she hears about. We all send her scholarship opportunities when we have them available, but perhaps your parents work for a corporation that offers scholarships to their employees' children. Perhaps you're a member of a social group, or you know of a nonprofit organization that offers scholarships. Leela offers a $1,000 scholarship. It is awarded monthly during your senior year. It's a random drawing, so everybody has the same opportunity to win. And if you're planning to apply for this scholarship and complete your FAFSA, you can do so ahead of time. But you will have to show proof that you've completed your FAFSA if you win. We offer a $1,000 Choose Louisiana scholarship for students who are staying here in the state. Same situation. It is a random drawing, um, and it's always open. We have just received our FAFSA completion guides, and they should be going out in the mail to your counselor this week. Those are paper guides that explain a lot of what I've just mentioned, but also have a couple of other tips as well. If you want an electronic copy of this before you receive your actual guide, you can go to our website at leela.org, or you can contact me directly and I'll be happy to email it to you. Now, this is the part of the presentation where I usually say you can participate in the FAFSA beta. We're in, round two of beta testing. However, we've just heard that the FAFSA is open for everyone. It was supposed to be open on October 1st. It opens every October 1st. That is mandated by Congress. So mark your calendars for next October 1st as well, so you can complete your FAFSA for your sophomore year. We have a senior checklist. It's a great resource to help you move through the year successfully. This is on our webpage, or I'm happy to email it to you. And here is my contact information. If you want to speak to me tonight through our open forum, you're welcome to do that. But if you have something of a sensitive nature that you want to talk to me directly, let's start a conversation. You can email me. If you want to start your FAFSA, but you get a little nervous during the process and you want to call in and ask a question, we have a FAFSA helpline. And if you want to schedule a free virtual FAFSA session where we will stay online with you, and if you want to share your screen, we can help you move through the FAFSA step by step. I've been doing all the talking, so I would really like to hear some feedback from you all. If you have specific questions, I'd love to hear about them. You can drop them in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and ask your question. The, the first question I usually hear is, are you going to be recording this presentation? And yes, I am. I'll be sending it on to Ms. Rye probably in the morning.
Hi, Ann. I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So for the kids that applied on rolling admission or those that are applying early action, what is the latest we should apply for the FAFSA or the CSS for that matter, even though the FAFSA is already open?
That's a great question. Federal student aid and most financial aid is awarded on a first come, first served basis. So every FAFSA has a date stamp on it. I've never known for the funds to run out. However, you never know what's going to happen. We always say, get your FAFSA done as soon as possible. Also, check with each college that you're applying to find out what their priority financial aid deadline is. And that will give you that last date to submit your FAFSA. But if I were you, I wouldn't wait that late.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Do we
I
have
just
any
put
other?
a I
Oh,
just
go
put a
ahead.
question in the chat.
Okay.
Does 529 savings get entered under parent or student assets?
If the parent owns the 529, it will depend on whose Social Security number has been used to create the account. If you're a parent and you've created it for your student, for the student, then it will be a student asset. And it brings up another a good question. You never want to report retirement funds. Um, those are yours. You do not have to report that as an asset, but you do have to report any assets that you have created, accounts for educational purposes.
And then we have another question here.
Um, she said you put in your 2024,
Taxes. Yeah.
taxes. Is that required, or if you anticipate there was gonna be some kind of change this year, but could you hold off and do 2025? Like, I don't know, like, is the due date such that you
Yeah.
could wait and see if it was gonna be more beneficial to put in 2025?
No, so it's always going to be the prior year taxes that you have to use. So for, yeah, the 26, 27, it'll be the 2024 taxes. But, and correct me if I'm wrong, if something drastic has changed from 2024 to now, you can reach out to the financial aid office and tell them like, hey, this is the situation. And normally they'll work with you about it. But you do have to get in touch with the financial aid office. Is
Yes.
that right?
That's right. That's
Okay.
your responsibility. You know, if you had increased medical expenses, you've lost a job, or, you've gone part-time, you will want to report that to the financial aid office because they can make those adjustments on their end.
And then there's another question in the chat. Can a child add another college in the FAFSA after it's been filled out and sent to the first colleges picked?
Yes, they can.
And then with that, do they have to resubmit, correct?
That's correct. So you'll just go to that home page. There's a tab to be able to edit your FAFSA, make a correction. You'll go in that way, change the school or add new schools. And that brings me to the point about the 20 schools. You can only list 20 schools each time you submit. If you're planning to apply to more than 20, you will add the first 20, wait for it to process. The student will receive an email from Federal Student Aid telling him when it has been processed. At that time, you can go back in, make a FAFSA correction, go to that school section, take out all 20 of those and add 20 more. And I don't know why. I don't understand why. I guess it limits the number of schools that people are sending this information to if they're not that interested in it, in the school itself. But
Okay.
that's the situation.
And then two more questions in the chat. Is the financial data used to penalize students for merit scholarships?
The FAFSA does not consider your scholarships, but the financial aid office will because you can never be offered over the cost of attendance. So if you're going to a school in Louisiana and you receive TOPS and you receive a Pell Grant, you get an FSEOG and you get a Teach Grant and all this is adding up. You're not probably going, if you reach the cost of attendance, you're not going to be able to go over that amount. So they will probably accept the private scholarships and give you less federal aid. So all that is determined by the college financial aid administrators. When we award scholarships to students, we alert the colleges to let them know that Ann Carmichael has received a $1,000 scholarship, and they will keep track of that, and they will use that when determining your net price.
And then another question. Earlier, you mentioned something about no interest loans where interest starts once they graduate. Can you explain that again?
Sure. When you receive your financial aid offer or offers, you're going to perhaps see a line item for a direct unsubsidized loan, direct subsidized loan. You always want to accept the unsubsidized portion first because, as you just remembered, that's a need-based loan, and it doesn't accrue interest until the student graduates or ceases to attend. So with the subsidized loan, interest is accruing, and it is you will receive a quarterly statement while you're in school, letting you know how much interest has accrued. So we encourage you to pay off that interest while you're in school if you have a unsubsidized loan, because if you don't pay it off as it accrues, it's going to be capitalized and put into your principal amount borrowed, and then you're going to be paying interest on that interest. So will all be determined by the financial aid office. Just make sure you accept all of the unsubsidized loans portions first.
Wait, subsidized, right? Subsidized first.
Listen to me. You want to accept the subsidized
Yes.
portions first.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. And hopefully your colleges will list that on the financial aid offer. I know it's confusing, but if you want to talk directly to me, I'm happy to speak with you.
Any other questions? Yes.
How does the multiple children factor in with respect to plus loan consideration and their financial aid in general?
Did you hear that?
I did. Plus loans will be offered to the student if he's maxed out his unsub, every other offer. He will be offered the parent loan. Now, the parents are going to, of course, have to work directly with the college to apply for that federal loan. And I'm losing track of what the initial question was. How does that work with more than one child in college?
Was that it? Yes.
If you have child,
If you have
child already in college,
one in,
another child home.
yes, if you have one in college already and then one going, how does that affect the parent plus loan?
Yes.
Was that the, yeah.
You could be offered additional parent loans, or perhaps the student can be offered additional student loans if there are more than one student in college. However, this is no longer reported to the financial aid office. In the past, you said, I have 4 children in school next academic year. The financial aid office would see that and say, oh, this parent needs some help. And they can work with you to assist you, in maybe giving you some additional aid. But now they still ask the question. We don't know why, but it's your responsibility to communicate with the financial aid offices and tell them your situation and ask them if they would take that into consideration.
So with a specific school.
Yep.
That's right. And if you're applying to, 20 schools, you really need to contact, each of the 20 so they all know your situation.
Yes. So that's fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yes, Andy, I have one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with regards to assets and the rental properties, so I understand you subtract the debt, and that's your equity that you need to record. What's the best way to estimate the market value of your rental property? Do you have any websites you suggest or methods? Because if I look up in different websites, they give me different estimates, right?
That's right. I would only use information that comes directly from federal student aid. I would not use any random AI Google searches or whatever, because either they, are not updated. You might have grabbed an old article. Just contact Federal Student Aid directly. Or if you want to reach out to me, I will be happy to do a little bit of research and contact my sources there. But generally, I've never heard of a financial aid administrator asking you to go get an appraisal on your property.
Right.
So maybe perhaps using your property taxes, if it's listed there, what your property is valued at, I would use that number or the last appraisal that you received on the property.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Other questions? Okay. Anyone else in the chat or wants to unmute themselves? Actually, I think I have to do that.
I do have one more, Andy. Do you have any recommendations on how to reduce your SAI?
Well, nothing that I would want to say publicly. I'll just say that.
Okay.
I've had people that actually
Yeah.
I'll tell you what some people have done. We've had people that have, if they had quite a bit of cash on hand or other assets, they'll use them to pay off their mortgage, prepay their mortgage, or they'll wait until, if they have additional cash in their accounts, that they can move from one place to another. They've done that before, drop some of your
Boy.
drop some of your funds, and it is, I wouldn't do it, but it has been done.
Yeah.
But no, because the answers are so clear within the FAFSA, and when you get to that asset section, you should drop down every one of those description boxes, because it will say, report this, do not report that. If this is your situation, then this is what happens. It's very descriptive. So when you get in there, there's no way that you can fudge on your answers within the FAFSA to adjust that SAI. And I know it's confusing because a lot of these pop-up overnight companies will, put out YouTube videos and radio uh, commercials saying, contact us and find out how to, reduce your SAI. The only person who can adjust that SAI is the financial aid office. They have all the power to award this money, but that's why they're so strict about the documentation that you have to show to them to prove that you're in a situation, because they're awarding federal money, and they've got to cover themselves. They get audited many times a year. So I would say if anything is in question after you complete your FAFSA, call your financial aid office. They're great, just like Ms. Rye. They are there to help the students, and they'll be a big support to you.
Okay. Any other questions? Yep, we have one here.
Under the parents application, for the parent contribute, aspect, there wasn't an option. There was widow, but, it was remarried. If you're not remarried, what option would I select?
For who's doing the FAFSA?
For the parents' side of it, or
Okay.
even my child's side of it. I mean, there were options, but none of them
Had
fit
yours.
my situation.
Do you
Okay.
want to give me kind of a scenario and I can identify it for you, or you can do it within the FAFSA, because it's going to ask you, are you the parent? Are you married? No. Are you divorced? No. And then it will, just like a flow chart, move you over into who's to report. But if you want to tell me that, I'll be happy to tell you my recommendation.
I'm just going by what I saw on the screen. It mentioned, like 5 different options, but none of them pertain to me. So I
Okay.
was just as to which one.
Why don't
Um,
you why don't you email me and maybe we can talk tomorrow and I can
Okay.
get more information for you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other
Is
questions?
there, the part where the student sends out the invite to
Mhm.
the parents, if there are two parents contributing, they each need an email sent?
Correct, right?
Well, this year they've kind of changed that.
Oh,
They no
right.
longer have to give information about every parent. Remember that nightmare? Um, all they have to do is list the email address of their contributor. And that
So,
has, once that's been determined.
okay, so either parent, I guess, if they're married.
Well, yes, if the couple is married and they filed jointly, you only need one FSA ID. So either parent could be the contributor. Because the purpose of the FSA ID is to draw your tax data down. And if you file married jointly, it's in one document, it's one transfer. But if you file married separately, you each have to have an ID because they're going to, ask for mom and dad's tax information. So this is what I usually say. I tell the students, enter the email address of the parent who provided you with the most financial support in the past 12 months. That way, whoever that parent is, if he's married jointly, that's fine. That parent can contribute on behalf of both of them. But if the student's in a different situation where parents are remarried or divorced or there's step parents involved, send it to the invitation to the parent who provided you with the most financial support, and then that parent will take it from there. Because that parent will then be asked questions like, okay, you're the contributing parent, but are you remarried? Okay, you are. Well, I'm going to have his email address. He needs an ID. Or if you file married separately, now they'll be asking mom for dad's email address. So the student only needs to report that one parent, the parent who provided him with the most financial support. Does that make sense?
Yes, I think so.
If not, feel free to email me and we can talk about it one-on-one.
Any other questions?
Ms. Rye, remember when we used to have to get both parents, first name, last name, social security number, date of birth, email address. It was a
Yeah,
nightmare.
no,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
that
why
was not
now
fun.
it's
Yeah.
one email address. And they
Yes.
let the parents do the dirty work.
Yes, I enjoy that.
Is this something that you started with them already? I know
What,
the student.
the FAFSA?
I know sometimes you sit with them and you do some stuff, but so
The fa well, because not all of them file it.
okay, I
Yeah.
just didn't know if there was any other.
Yeah.
If they put in this email address and I missed an email or something.
No, 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 no. No, we have not done that yet. Or, I mean, they can always come see me if they need help with it. But I'm probably the most basic level of it. If it starts, if, oh yeah, you could also probably do it for them, but yeah, you have to come
I
up.
wanted to make sure there wasn't something.
No.
Where else that I didn't get.
No, this is one I don't require them to do because it's not required. Yeah, technically.
But
Well, yes. I did that. Yeah.
we have already been working with students all through the summer to help the student create their ID and help the student identify who's the parent contributor so that we can help that parent create an ID too. So if you
Yes,
wanted
yeah.
to schedule anybody in your group wants to schedule a virtual session, we're happy to help.
Yes.
Virtual sketch session and just during the week that they do on the weekends.
Are the virtual sessions over the weekend or just during the week?
We are in the process of trying to open up our calendar for Saturdays and then into the evenings as well. Federal student aid is available until 8 p.m. Eastern time. So they're a great resource because they have it handled during that period. We usually schedule our sessions from 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. on the weekdays. But we are planning to open up weekends probably by October 1.
Okay, awesome. Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you so much. I appreciate you doing this because you're definitely the expert on the FAFSA. So thanks for your time and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
All righty. Goodbye.
I don't know how to leave. Oh, do I leave? Well, someone got their times wrong. Okay.